How could a city once described by travelers as the finest of all Indian towns vanish beneath a cloud of ash and silence, leaving only stone fragments and legends of a vanished empire? The answer lies in the rise and fall of the Vijayanagara Empire, the last great Hindu kingdom of South India, whose final emperors presided over a civilization that blended military might, artistic splendor, and administrative acumen before succumbing to a cataclysmic defeat in 1565. In the early 14th century, amidst the chaos wrought by the Delhi Sultanate's incursions into the Deccan, two brothers, Harihara I and Bukka Raya I, founded a kingdom at the foot of the rocky hills of Hampi, invoking the ancient Kakatiya and Hoysala traditions while forging a new political identity rooted in the protection of Hindu Dharma and the patronage of art. Their early reigns, from 1336 to 1377, consolidated a patchwork of smaller principalities, secured the fertile Kovri Basin, and established a formidable standing army that blended infantry, cavalry, and war elephants, a model later refined by their successors. The empire's first golden age began under Bukka Raya I's son, Devaraya IR, 1406–1424, whose reign marked a decisive shift from defensive posture to expansive ambition. Devaraya's campaigns against the Bahmani Sultanate reclaimed the strategic port of Goa, seized the rich pepper fields of Malabar, and extended Vijayanagara's influence to the Krishna and Tungabhadra rivers, thereby securing vital trade routes that linked the Indian Ocean to inland markets. By commissioning the construction of the grand stone platform at the Virupaksha temple and commissioning the famed poet Vidyaranya, Devaraya wove a cultural renaissance into his military conquests, fostering a court culture that attracted scholars from across the subcontinent and cemented the empire's reputation as a bastion of Sanskrit learning. The next ruler, Devaraya's son, Ramachandra Raya R. 1424–1446, inherited a realm at the height of its power, but faced a formidable coalition of rival sultanates. The Bahmani Sultanate, now fragmented into the Deccan Sultanates, launched a series of raids that forced Ramachandra to rebuild fortifications along the Tungabhadra and to negotiate tributary arrangements that preserved the empire's core territories. Despite these pressures, he oversaw the completion of the Hampi Bazaar complex, where merchants from Persia, Arabia, and China exchanged spices, textiles, and precious stones, creating a cosmopolitan hub that rivaled contemporary ports such as Calicut and Surat. The death of Ramachandra in 1446 ushered in a period of internal strife as competing factions within the royal family vied for the throne. The brief reign of Mallikarjuna Raya R. 1446–1465 was marked by ruthless purges, the execution of dissenting nobles, and a disastrous defeat at the Battle of Raichur in 1450, where the Sultanate of Bijapur temporarily reclaimed the strategic fort of Raichur. This loss exposed the vulnerability of Vijayanagara's frontiers and prompted a shift in military doctrine. The empire began to rely more heavily on mercenary forces from the Deccan, including Maratha and Telugu warriors, while also expanding its use of gunpowder artillery imported from the Ottoman Empire via coastal traders. The subsequent reign of Krishnadeva Raya R. 1465–1485 attempted to reverse these setbacks through diplomatic marriages with the Nayaka chieftains of the southern coastal belt, securing alliances that provided a buffer against further incursions from the east. By the time Krishnadeva Raya ascended the throne in 1509, Vijayanagara had regained its footing and entered its most celebrated epoch. Krishnadeva Raya's military campaigns against the Gajapati Kingdom of Odisha, the Sultanate of Bijapur, and the Sultanate of Golconda not only reclaimed lost territories, but also forced the southern sultanates into a tributary relationship that lasted for decades. His administrative reforms introduced a standardized revenue system based on the measurement of land productivity, known as the Shashti assessment, which increased state income by an estimated 20% and allowed the empire to fund massive public works, including the construction of the iconic Lotus Mahal and the ornate Hazara Rama Temple, both showcasing a synthesis of Dravidian and Indo-Islamic architectural motifs. Krishnadeva Raya's patronage of literature produced the celebrated Telugu epic Amaktamaliyada, cementing his image as a philosopher king and ensuring that his reign would be remembered not only for conquest, but also for cultural flourishing. Krishnadeva Raya's death in 1529 marked the beginning of a rapid decline, as his successors, Achyutadeva Raya r. 1529–1542, and then Sadashiva Raya r. 1542–1565, lacked his charisma and military acumen. The empire's political cohesion frayed as regional governors, particularly the powerful Nayakas of Keladi and the Tanjore region, began asserting autonomy, demanding higher tributes, and occasionally rebelling outright. In 1543, the Battle of Vijayanagara saw the Vijayanagara forces suffer a humiliating defeat, losing control of the critical copper mining districts of Kolar, which had supplied the empire's mints with the metal needed for coinage. The final decade of Vijayanagara's existence was dominated by the strategic miscalculations of the last emperor, Rama Raya, who never formally assumed the title of king, but acted as regent for the child emperor Sadashiva Raya. In 1565, the sultanates formed the historic Triple Alliance of Bijapur, Golconda, and Ahmednagar, and marched on Vijayanagara with a combined force of over 100,000 troops, dwarfing the empire's standing army of roughly 30,000. The ensuing Battle of Talikota, fought on the dry plains near the Tungabhadra River, lasted for 2 days. The decisive moment came when the Portuguese mercenary commander, Raya de Sequeira, allegedly withdrew his cannon fire, leaving the Vijayanagara infantry exposed to a relentless cavalry charge. The empire's banner fell, and the capital was set ablaze in a conflagration that lasted 40 days, reducing the once glorious city to a smoldering ruin. The aftermath of Talikota saw the empire fragmented into a mosaic of semi-independent principalities. Nayakas of Madurai, Tanjore, and Jinji retained nominal allegiance to the Vijayanagara line, but operated as de facto sovereigns, each fielding its own armies and administering tax collection. In the north, the remnants of the empire's army retreated to the hill forts of Penukonda and Chandragiri, where they continued a guerrilla resistance for another decade, attempting to reclaim lost territories but gradually losing support as the local populace grew weary of constant warfare. By 1570, the last vestiges of Vijayanagara's central authority had evaporated, and the surviving members of the royal family were absorbed into the courts of the Deccan sultanates, where they served as cultural emissaries, preserving the empire's literary heritage. The cultural legacy of the Vijayanagara Empire, however, persisted long after its political dissolution. The stone chariot of the Vithala temple, with its intricately carved stone wheels and lion motifs, remains a testament to the empire's engineering prowess, while the elaborate frescoes of the Achyutadeva Raya temple reveal a syncretic artistic vision that blended Hindu iconography with Persian floral patterns. The empire's emphasis on patronage of scholars produced a corpus of Sanskrit, Telugu, and Kannada literature that continued to influence South Indian intellectual circles well into the 18th century. Moreover, the administrative innovations, particularly the land revenue assessment and the systematic codification of laws in the Mahavyasa, served as a template for later Mysore and Maratha administrations, demonstrating the lasting impact of Vijayanagara's bureaucratic structures. Economically, the empire's control of the spice trade left an indelible mark on global commerce. Pepper, cardamom, and cinnamon harvested from the Malabar coast were exported via Vijayanagara's inland ports to Portuguese, Arab, and later Dutch merchants, who in turn introduced New World silver into the Indian market, stimulating a monetary boom that financed further temple construction and urban development. The empire's coinage, especially the gold, pagoda, and silver rupee denominations, became standard across South Asia, with the pagoda serving as a benchmark for European traders' exchange rates, as documented in the Portuguese shipping logs of 1510 and the later English East India Company records of 1602. These financial instruments facilitated a vibrant mercantile network that linked the interior of the subcontinent to the maritime world, a network that survived the empire's fall and was later co-opted by the British and French colonial enterprises. The political vacuum left by Vijayanagara's collapse reshaped the balance of power in South India. The Maratha chief Shivaji, born in 1630, drew inspiration from the empire's military organization, adopting similar cavalry tactics and fortification strategies, while the Mysore kingdom under Hyder Ali and Tipu Sultan later invoked Vijayanagara's legacy to legitimize their own claims of Hindu sovereignty against British encroachment. In the modern era, the ruins of Hampi were designated a UNESCO World Heritage Site in 1986, acknowledging the empire's architectural and cultural significance and attracting scholars who continue to excavate and interpret the sprawling complex of temples, markets, and royal quarters. Recent archaeological surveys using ground-penetrating radar have uncovered previously unknown subterranean chambers beneath the main temple complex, suggesting that the city's layout was far more intricate than previously thought. Hidden water reservoirs that may have sustained the population during prolonged sieges. The story of Vijayanagara's final emperors thus serves as a microcosm of the broader dynamics that shaped early modern South Asia. The interplay of religious identity, economic integration, and military innovation against a backdrop of rising Islamic sultanates and emerging European maritime powers. Their rise illustrates how a coalition of regional chieftains could, under visionary leadership, forge a pan-regional empire that harnessed diverse linguistic and cultural traditions, while their fall demonstrates the perils of over-reliance on fragile alliances and the devastating impact of coordinated external aggression. The empire's architectural marvels, literary achievements, and administrative reforms echo through the centuries, reminding us that even the most formidable civilizations can be reduced to stone and dust when faced with relentless change. As the sun sets over the crumbling stone arches of Hampi, casting long shadows across the once bustling market squares, one hears not only the whispers of a vanished dynasty, but also the enduring pulse of a culture that refused to be silenced, a reminder that the legacy of the last emperors of South India lives on in the very fabric of the land they once ruled.